Are you tired of feeling overwhelmed and unproductive? And do you wish that you just had a simple system where you plan your day in 5 minutes because that's what you feel like you need? Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited to talk about this because this is something that I've been doing for the past couple of weeks. I've been implementing this weekly and daily in my planning system. And for me, it has been so beneficial because it allows me time to read, to relax, and enjoy my hobby. As you can see, I have like books here and I changed up my office a little bit because I have truly enjoyed the hobby of reading, the hobby of just getting caught up in a world or a story and really listening to other points of view. I enjoy doing things that bring me rest, comfort, and just time for myself. And I really love that. So, the first thing I am going to mention is that the struggle is real. Feeling overwhelmed by your day is completely normal. It's completely okay to feel that way because we have a list of things that each of us has to do. There's a task list that's forever ongoing. There's something that always has to get done, whether it's the dishes being washed, the laundry being done, going to get groceries, purchasing groceries, things like that. So the normal daily routine items of life always are happening, and it's okay to feel overwhelmed. You're not alone. There's a lot of people who feel like that. There's a lot of people who feel like there's an endless to-do list. I myself am one of them. And sometimes I feel like I let that to-do list control me instead of me saying, you know what, I'm going to write down what I need to get done today. What are my top 3 items? And I'm going to make sure I get them done and then kind of plan out the rest of the week as such. I like to introduce the like 5 minute planning routine. And I'm gonna take you to a page here, like my current week. And literally all it takes me is about 5 minutes. I open up my planner to the current week. And then I also have the monthly here, right? I do have the monthly and I view my monthly. I check out like, do I have appointments? Do I have anything due? If I don't, then I go back to my weekly and I'm going to put down the top 3 tasks I need to do for the day. If I don't really have anything to do for the day, I'm not going to write anything because I don't need to accomplish anything. I don't need to do anything. If there's something that has to be done, usually I will write it right here because it's something that has to get done like ASAP. And I will write it here and then I'm going to put a date on it because I need to do it that specific day. But normally what you're going to do is write down basically your top 3 items, okay? So the power of prioritizing your most important tasks are what you're going to do at the beginning of the day. What are your top 3 must do tasks? Okay. Focus on the impact and not really how many tasks, how many things you can accomplish. Because sometimes I feel like productivity is like another word for saying we're busy, and busy doesn't necessarily mean that we are, accomplishing all these tasks or we're being productive, right? Are we really being productive? So, what are the top 3 things that we can accomplish to be productive in our lives and to complete these tasks? The next thing is blocking time, okay? So think of time blocking your day as a time specific boundary that you set for your personal items and tasks. These are things that you are going to set in motion in the beginning of your day, and you're going to set up a time block. As you can see here, I have time blocks set up. So I'm just going to kind of move this here on top so we can focus on the key and what I have here. But basically, I break up my day into specific time blocks. I have a morning routine, I have my parents' routine, I have whatever task I'm going to be focusing on here. I can go ahead and put down what I'm doing in these specific hours. So I have read here. I've been reading a lot. And as being someone who is a caregiver for my parents, I tend to read a lot because I get to sit in the living room or be in the room with them and I can assist or visually see what they're doing in my house without really kind of moving back and forth from one part of the house to the other. So I put a time block here for that. Then I put a time block for if they're going to eat lunch, if they want to have snack, it really depends what they want, and then a time block for dinner. Time blocking really allows you to break your day into time blocks for important tasks, and it really allows you for personal time boundaries in your life, in your day. So think of them like that. The third thing is using the eat that frog method, basically. Start with the hardest or most difficult task and then kind of dwindle it down to going to the less difficult task or the less stressful task, right? Sometimes my stressful task in the morning is, kind of making sure the ADLs are done for my parents and making sure they are dressed, making sure they are clean, bathed, groomed, and that they have a change of clothes. And that is a physical task that can be difficult and stressful when you're doing it for two people. So it can be something that can be overwhelming. But if I break it down in this time block, I try to reduce that level of stress. Not to say that it won't be, because there are days that can be a little more challenging than others. And then once you start with the hardest task, like once you get that done out of the way, right, you feel better, and then you go on to the other less difficult tasks or stressful tasks. For us, sometimes on Saturdays, it's cleaning the entire house. We have to do that, right, to get ready for the week, to reset for the week. That is a hard task. That is a difficult task that some people want to get done really early in the morning, and they just want to get that out of the way. And then after that, it's like maybe, doing your laundry or dropping off your laundry or putting in a load in the wash. And then after that, it might be going to the supermarket, making sure you're good for the week, so that way you don't have to run back and forth to the supermarket during a work week. You really want to think about how that day is going to look and how these specific tasks are going to impact your day. The next thing is embracing flexibility. There's times that I will put like tasks in the top of my planner here, and I will literally just write them down. And sometimes I'm not going to be able to accomplish them because something happens. Maybe, my son's not feeling well, or maybe there was a change in an appointment, and I end up kind of just going with the flow, right? Because life is going to happen regardless. So you just have to kind of adjust with whatever changes are happening during that day or during that week. And we have to be flexible. If we're focused on like that specific time, that specific task, we're going to get so stressed out, like, oh, this has to be done on this specific day at this specific time. I took off the day of work, or I missed a half day or something like that. And that can be stressful, but I always kind of want to bring it back to embracing that change, kind of changing the time, or just kind of reducing the amount of stress you have when it comes to, instead of focusing on what needs to be done, kind of just going with the flow. Okay, so maybe an appointment was canceled. Now you have an afternoon free. Maybe, one of your kids get up earlier than usual. For me, it's like my parents. One of them is always up whenever I'm doing something in the morning and I really need to accomplish those tasks. Just leave white space in your schedule and in your life, so that way if there is a change in the schedule, you're fine with it. You're okay with it because you're moving on from whatever the change is. And then I was going to say chapter 5. I don't know why. The fifth talking point is basically using time to reflect, right? And then kind of celebrating your wins, whether they're big, whether they're small, your personal wins. Everybody's personal wins is very different. Not everyone's going to have the same. So you definitely want to kind of make sure that you celebrate those, right? As you can see here, like I have PM review, and this is something that's mentioned in the bullet journal method, where he talks about the PM review, kind of starting your day, planning out what you need to do, what specific tasks you need to do. And then I use time blocking. If you have a bullet journal, you could just write a list of things that you need to accomplish, and you can use the signifiers here, right? I have a specific key for that, and I am using specific signifiers for this. And then I'm able to adjust what I need to get done. And I am using these signifiers in my planning and it has helped out so much. I know what a note is. I know if something's changing. I know if something was canceled or completed, because I already have like a red line through it, or I may have like a black line through it. So it really is something that you can customize and you can update and change as you go. But at the same time, you just want to make sure that you look at what you planned out for the day, what you accomplish, and then celebrate those wins. It literally can take you 5 minutes to list out the top 3 items, where or what time you want to spend time on specific tasks or activities, making personal time blocking kind of like your personal boundary time. And then you also want to leave room for anything that may change or happen during the day. Celebrate all your accomplishments, all your wins, whether, hey, you know what? I wanted to go to Barnes and Nobles today. I did. Hey, I wanted to do 2 loads of laundry today. I did. Hey, I wanted to read a book today. I finished it today. I did. That is celebrating a win, right? And take them as they come, because I know for me this week, I felt very, very accomplished. I read like 4 books during this week. I know. I just know for me, like, I'm spending time listening to a book, but also following along in the book, and I get to read the book following along, and I can read it a little faster that way. So for me, I do what works for me. You do what works for you, and celebrate those wins. White space is not bad. White space does not mean that you're being lazy or that you're not accomplishing all these tasks or goals. It's really about being intentional or having intentional breathing room in your planning system. For me, I learned this year, it's not about the planner. It's about the system that you use to plan your life. Whether it is a planner that looks like this and it has a vertical weekly layout, right? And this is, for me, it's like white space is okay. This is like it. This is intentional breathing room. I could write notes. I could go ahead and share things here. I can do whatever I need to do, and I could look at my weekly spread and not feel overwhelmed. So you don't need to overfill your day. You don't need to write a gazillion pages of notes. You write what you need to write. You plan your day. It literally takes 5 minutes for me to sit down and write what I need to do. It literally does. Like, I will sit down, write what I need to do, and I'm not focusing on putting stickers down. I'm not focusing on using washi tape. I'm focusing on just writing my task down and putting it inside this planner. And that's all I'm doing. I don't want to overwhelm myself. If I need to, really highlight something, I will use either a sticky note, or I will, kind of delineate with a star asterisk to show me that it's really, really important. But this has been such a beautiful process for me. I literally spend 5 minutes in the morning. If I miss a day, I'll spend 10 minutes doing the 2 days, kind of backfilling one day, because it's like I really didn't have much going on. And that is okay. And what I love is that this is my planning system. I can do my planning system literally 5 minutes a day. And once I do that, I can go to, writing my notes in my media journal. This is like, I call it my reading media journal, because every time I read a book, I'm listing them out, right? I have the books I read, and then I have the date that I finished them. I'm starting to incorporate that now. And I wrote, like, this is an example. I wrote about, kind of Greek mythology, and I read the book, The Maidens. I'm not talking about a review. I'm not talking about what I think about it, but yes, there are some talking points that are really important when it comes to like mental health and things like that. But I also appreciate the literary references, the Greek references, the mythology references in this particular text. And as you can see here, I wrote like notes, and then I was like writing in the book. I was also like writing, I'm trying to find one. I was writing notes, right, in sticky notes here, and I was just kind of trying to figure out who did it. It's a whodunit, like with Greek mythology, and I was really like, I couldn't put the book down. I read the book, I think, in a day, because I wanted to find out what happened. And of course, there are valid talking points regarding this book. And I really hope that you take away from what I shared, what I learned. And I really try to kind of break it down in a way that it won't be a 45-minute, hour-long video where I'm talking about what I'm doing, but it also is sharing, you know, what it allows me to do with the time I have left, which is read, which is spend time for me and rest. And I really appreciate that. So thanks so much for watching. Let me know if this video was helpful. Let me know if you want to see something else. And until the next time, bye-bye.